All right, so now let's start by creating our first theme block. So we're gonna make this heading here to be acting as a theme block, and as well as this description. It's going to be very straightforward. I'm not going to create any nesting block theme here because it's going to be a waste of time. So let's go and let's make this heading here and this description to be accessed by the block theme. So we have this h3 right here, and we have this p tag right here. So let's say I want to make this h3 to be acting as a component. So let me make my VS Code larger or full screen. So to create a block theme, we need to do it first of all inside the block directory right here, and we're gonna create some text for our block here. Okay, and remember, this is like a component. If in your team there is already something created, you can just go and use it and just replace it. But like I was telling you earlier, if I come back here and I go back to my editor here, and we have our feature collection right here. As you can see, I can't access any block here. I can just add the section, but I can't access any block. So to be able to have a block accessible to replace whatever you want to replace here, we can go first of all in our VS Code and inside our schema here, inside our blocks here, and we can create an object. And remember, we are creating theme block, not a block within section. Okay, and when you're creating a theme blocks, you just have to reference the @theme like this. If you want to create some specific theme, I mean, like you want this section to be having only one specific theme, then you can just apply the name of the theme right here, which is called like a theme targeting. All right, so we're gonna leave ours like this, and if I save it and I go back now to our theme editor, and if I reload the page right here, you're going to see now we have add block. Okay, so if I click on add block, I'm going to have access to all of this add block that coming with this theme or that we're gonna create soon. Okay, and if you pay attention, we already have some collection title here. I can use it if I want to, and if I go to text here, I have some description text which I can also use. So first, let's go to test what comes already with our theme, and later on we're gonna create our own and just apply it here. It's going to be the same, just for you to have an idea. If I go to my VS Code and here inside our text here, this heading and description, so instead of applying that like this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide it for now because I don't want to lose the coding here. And I'm just gonna print the content for, and then we're gonna call the blocks like this. In the case you want to display like all of the blocks that are coming from all of these blocks directory. So if I save it, let me check my terminal. I have no error. If I go back to my theme editor here and I refresh the page again, we don't have any more title and description here, but I can add. So let's look for some heading. This h3 and this heading is coming from our previous video, so I won't use it now. Let's look what this theme came with. So we have our heading here, so I can use it, and it's gonna appear just right here. Okay, it did not change anything to our design. Everything looks great. And I can say here, shop luxury shoes, something like this. And we have like some bunch of settings here that are coming from this this blog, which you can go and make your own and add all of these settings here. Depends on how you're creating your website. Okay, so I can save it and I can go again to add a block, and this time I'm looking for something like text. Okay, so this one, and just to make it to be below the heading, and there you go. So we have our heading, and I can save it. If I go now to check our website, I reload, now we have a heading and we have the text. Very like straightforward. So it's like a component. You can create it once and reuse it anywhere else. So let's go make our own. So to make our own, I'm just gonna grab this h3 here. I'm gonna cut it. I will go to the blocks here and I'm gonna create a file. I'm gonna call it the new h3. That's liquid. And I'm gonna place the h3 right here. I'm gonna save it. We're gonna get an error in the terminal because we need to have a schema here. It's mandatory. So let's create a schema. So we're gonna give it a name. So let's call it the new h3. I will give it a class. Not really important here, but hey, let's give it a class like this. And the settings is the settings, you know, that you saw here. Okay, so this is where you're gonna add your settings. Let's go back to VS Code, and if you want this block to be nested, then you're gonna come and you're gonna add a block here. Then this heading could be also accepting another type of block theme, okay, which we're not going to do in this example. What is important here is to add a preset. If you want to have this h3 to be accessible in your theme editor, we need to have a preset here, and we're gonna give it an object. It's gonna accept some name, so the name is going to be like the new h3, and we can give it some settings, we can give it some blocks as well, and we can save it. Okay, and when it comes for settings, we're just gonna give it some simple one for now, just a type of text, and we're gonna give it an ID. We're gonna say the new h3 ID, something like this. And let's say the label, let's call it heading, and we can give it some default. We can say I am the new h3 heading. Okay, and then we have to access it. So just let's copy the ID, and to access it here, it's very simple. Okay, so just double curly to print. So we're gonna go block that settings, because again, remember we are in the block, so we have to go with the block. Okay, and then we have to access the settings right here, and then we have to call the ID that we just created here. So if we want to display again a nested block, we have to create a block attribute, and then we have to call the content for, depends on how you want to design this HTML markup. So we save mine like this, and I will go theme editor here. I'm going to reload my page, and I'm gonna look for this new block we made. It called the new h3. It is right here, so I can add it, and it's going to be right here. Okay, so I can remove this heading coming from Shopify, and we have our design that we had earlier. I can come here, I can say again shop, and I save it. All right, so you can go do the same for the description. Is going to be the same practice. Okay, you have to create a block theme, you have to give it a name, you have to add the markup, you have to add the CSS or Tailwind or even JavaScript if needed, and then you have to add the schema, the presets, and the settings. If you want to nest it, you have to add another block attribute inside it, and then you can now proceed. Let's first of all go inside our Shopify here, and we're going to create some collection. Let's create at least 8. So I will do mine behind the scene, and I'll come back very soon.